Hi, everyone. My name is Marquita Amwa, and I'm the Assistant Director of Community Partnerships over at the University Community Service Center. And today I am talking to Lee of Kikwetu Coffee. Say hello to everyone.
Hey, how are you doing?
Great. So I'm just going to dive straight into it. Do you want to tell me briefly about your business?
Yes, we are a family-owned coffee company, and I guess briefly, we stand aside from the masses in three ways. We are Kenya-born, Chicago-made, so we bring our coffee from Kenya, green. We roast it in Chicago, and we sell it here. We offer exceptional quality from farm to cup, so you control the quality all the way through, and we focus on premium quality coffee only. And then maybe the last thing that is most distinguishing is the fact that we don't just sell coffee. We are focused on building connections between human beings here and connections between here and Chicago and Nairobi, Kenya. That's what Kikwetu is about.
Oh, that's great. So can you tell me how you first funded your business?
Yes, until this point, all we funded our business strictly using our own savings. So we put together some money between myself, my wife, and my father-in-law, and it's been pretty much funding it out of our own savings.
Wow. Well, that's great. And we're going to touch on that a little bit. But before we get deeper into that, can you tell me how COVID has kind of impacted your thinking in regards to your business, and if you had to apply or if you got any access to any of the COVID relief programs?
Yeah, it has affected us in a couple of ways. So I guess my thinking in a couple of ways. One is that when it comes to gaining access to capital, it's those who are savvy in knowing how to navigate that space that usually end up on top. As an example, we did try to apply. We did apply to a couple of available funds, but we didn't get accepted. We didn't get any responses. And then when we read in the news also that other smaller businesses were also suffering in that way, not getting responses. And ultimately, we didn't reapply. But it just made us understand that there are nuances and maybe there is information that we need to spend time accumulating in order to be able to get access to funds in the future.
Okay. So before I move to my next question, I do want to ask, how were you able then to sustain yourself during this time if you weren't able to get access to those programs?
Yeah, it's a good question. So this year was supposed to be a critical inflection point for our business. So like I mentioned, we didn't start off with funds. We started off small, so really testing and refining our business. And we had actually reached a point where now we are confident enough, and this was the scaling point of our business when COVID hit. So the impact was not necessarily that we lost employees. It was that we were unable to scale as we planned to.
I see.
And so I guess it's a dream deferred. It's a
Okay.
plans deferred until you're able to get funds.
Okay. So when thinking about financial and social capital, which is a lot of what we are going to be talking to these students about, this idea of social capital, and you touched on it already by saying, it was your own funds, your wife's funds, your father-in-law's funds. What does that mean to you as a Black business owner, this idea of gaining access to capital?
Um, it's interesting. I never thought about it as a Black thing, but as you mentioned, as you ask the question now, I see how that can that there's an aspect of that. So throughout our business, it never occurred to us that we'd be able to grow our business using other people's funds or available funds. But as we start having more ambitions for our business, it has become clear that we need to tap into available resources, and we never really thought in those terms before.
Okay. So financial literacy seems to be what many argue is the answer to the lack of, financial capital in a lot of minority communities. Do you think that financial literacy, is the answer? Do you see a role in teaching financial literacy?
I think I have a blended view on that. I think more than is usually accepted. There is financial literacy in the Black community or in minority communities. I think a bigger problem is probably financial access to capital more than it is literacy. Um, it's certainly true for us, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that is not to discount the fact that we can always learn more about how to manage finances and how to make better investment decisions. But I would say that if you were to compare what separates different communities, it's not necessarily literacy more than access and familiarity and I would say even connections.
Yes. Great. Thank you. So just to transition a little bit, in our office, we talk a lot to our students about this art of decentering yourself. And what we mean by that is when you go to volunteer, when you go to intern somewhere, and you're interacting with people that you haven't interacted with before, do not think that you're going to save these people. Do not think that you're better than these people. Actively decenter yourself. So in that regards, how do you in your work decenter yourself?
In my work with Kikwetu,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's at the core of exactly what you're building. Um, as I mentioned, yeah, we're selling coffee, premium quality coffee. Um, but more than coffee, we're trying to build connections. And by building connections, it's not just about me and our family back to Kenya, but really giving people a space where they can step away from themselves, step away from their biases, grab a cup of high quality coffee and connect to other people. So I think at the core of what we're doing, that's exactly it. It's there are differences between human beings, but ultimately there are none. We're all connected in one way or the other. And if you can use coffee to bring those people together, that is our aspiration.
That's great. And this is my last question. So, when a student or anyone that is not from Chicago encounters Chicago, encounters your coffee shop or any regards, what is one thing that you wish they knew?
What is one thing that we wish they would know about Kikwetu Coffee Company?
Or Chicago or whatever?
Yeah, I would say Chicago is not any different from any other place. There's good and there's bad, um, but ultimately it's all driven by your attitude towards human beings, is what I would say. So don't bring in baggage from other places about what certain people or certain communities or certain areas are supposed to be. I would say approach it with an open lens, um, and find the best in everyone you encounter. And of course, I would be wrong if I said if you encounter Kikwetu Coffee Company, you should absolutely walk in or try it out. Might change your day.
Yes, I love that. And with that, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure the students who watch this will genuinely enjoy everything that you said.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.